Hello everyone, this is Iconbuster, and due to a stunt I pulled last week where I grabbed two random strangers and held them hostage and forced them to read a story, looks like that little stunt landed me in jail. Unfortunately, spending this time in jail, I realized there's not a whole lot of reading material I can get my hands on. So, because of that, it looks like this week there won't be a story time with the Iconbuster. I do want to apologize to my one fan that's out there, and I just hope that you stick around next week where hopefully I can get out of here and get a story. So, anyways, this is Iconbuster, telling you guys I hope you have a wonderful week.
You're Iconbuster?
Oh, yes I am, sir.
This package came for you.
Package for me? Oh, wow. Thank you. Hey, it's a letter. It says, okay. Dear Iconbuster, for the last couple of weeks you've been making fun of my stories. Why don't you make fun of one of your own? Sincerely, Heavy Metal Thunder. One of my own stories. I never wrote a story. Well, I'm not going to read this.
Ah, come on, Iconbuster. I listen to your show all the time. You need to read that, prisoner. Read it now. Let me pull up this chair.
I've only had one episode. But
I don't care. I'm a fan. Read it.
Okay, well, this story is called Saving Charlie, a Billbo Side Adventure. Written by, who cares? Billbo Side Adventure. What is this? A prequel to The Hobbit? Anyways. Billbo knew Charlie was in trouble, and for the last 2 days, Billbo had been following the man who claimed to be the last possessor. Now he was in Roseberry's bus station, looking across at a crazy loon who appeared to have no acknowledgement of his existence, and that's the way Billbo liked it. Billbo walked outside to see a group of young men with luggages getting on a green bus that said Job Corps Forestry Department. Billbo knew he had to get on that bus. Billbo remembered when he first met Charlie in the gangs of Los Angeles, and when Billbo took out the gang leader, Charlie had begged for forgiveness and asked how he could change his life. Billbo told him to come here to Job Corps. He knew of Charlie's powers because in the battle with the gang, Charlie had fought Billbo with his powers, and Billbo was able to defeat him because of his lack of training with his powers. There's apparently a lot of powers going on. We don't know what they are, but they're powers. But Billbo knew that most possessors could tear through a mutant like they were nothing. He also knew that Charlie wanted nothing to do with his curse. Billbo also knew without Charlie's help, he had no chance against the last possessor. Speaking of which, he just lost track of. Apparently Billbo knew a lot.
That's his powers. He knows a lot. See, that's his powers.
Okay. Now he had no chance against the last possessor. I lost my place. Now he knew he had to get on that bus. So he went to the staff members who seemed to be in charge and said, I've lost my luggage and now it looks like you guys have lost my file. But I enrolled in here and they told me to come this week. And after about 30 minutes of pleading his case, they finally said, come with us, we'll figure it out in the morning. During this time, unknown to Billbo, who knew everything earlier, the possessor had stole a car and is now following them.
Well, he has to concentrate on his no powers, see, and that's how he knows. By the way, that's illegal to break into and lie to government officials.
I got a confession to make, officer. I may have been high when I wrote this story.
See, you deserve to be behind these bars. Keep reading.
During the time Charlie fought Billbo, the possessor were not... During the time when Charlie fought Billbo, the possessors were not in battle, so they did not look for him. But 6 months later, all the possessors had a big fight in Japan, where all of them but one died during that time. Charlie had to make a decision whether or not to go to Japan, where more likely he would be killed. He decided never to use his powers again and tried to get his completion in culinary arts. But 1 week ago, Charlie tried to stop a fight in the lunchroom between two rival gang members. When one of the gang members started to fight with him, well, without him knowing his own strength, Charlie used his fighting powers on him, knocking him out. Also unknown to Charlie, the last possessor now sensed his presence and started looking for him.
What is this, the Highlander?
You know, looking at this story, not only does this story work as a prequel for the Lord of the Rings, but apparently it works also as a finale to the Highlander. Billbo knew what Charlie was and always kept tabs on him. And when he heard of the presence of a strong being going to Oregon from a psychic friend from Colorado who he had saved a week ago, and he knew, there he goes again, knowing everything, what was going on. Now it was up to Billbo to make sure Charlie knew he was coming. They finally made it to Wolf Creek Job Corps, and it was good to hear that Charlie was the leader in his dorm, but it was bad to hear he lost it after a fight. After the fight, the two gang members were ZT. I have no idea what that means. And Charlie stayed on...
takedowns?
Oh, could it mean termination? Oh. And Charlie stayed on the center by a thread because before that time he had never had a write-up. Billbo planned on waiting until the initial meeting was over and then waited until everyone was asleep before he found Charlie. But in the middle of the meeting, a big boom was heard outside and then a lot of commotion, which during the time Billbo took off outside, there was the possessor, yelling and screaming. Many of the staff members were on the ground, knocked out from the attack.
Sounds like you're sick there. Have you been taking care of yourself, been drinking lots of fluids and chicken soup and getting lots of rest? And...
I'm in jail. The possessor started screaming, "Come out, lost one! It's time for your very last battle!" Charlie was in his dorm hiding under his bed when one of his friends found him and said, "There's a man outside talking a lot of shit. I think you need to go out there and set him straight." Charlie shook his head no. Billbo went outside and formed his quarterstaff.
Ha! There's the power he's got. We finally know our power.
Okay.
Other than his knowing, he now can form a staff, too.
Okay. Well, we're learning a lot about this character. He thought if he weakened him, Charlie might just have a chance. Billbo walked up to the middle of the street and said, "Hey, Big Mouth, you're waking everyone up, and I don't think these people appreciate it." The possessor looked at him. "What are you, another staff member?" "No, I'm Billbo, and your ass is mine." The possessor frowned. "I've heard of you." "I'm glad someone has."
Hey, speaking of staff members, he could have said, "No, but he is," and then hit him over the head with this quarterstaff. See? That would have been a better story.
There's a lot of things that would have made this a better story. The possessor frowned. "I've heard of you. You're the mutant that can't die. Well, I'll find a way to kill you." During that time, Billbo had a smirk on his face, and with his hand, he did a little mouth impression signaling that he talked too much.
Wait. You said he can't die. So that's another power we learned about Billbo.
Well, I'm glad we're learning something here. By the way, have you learned whether or not I'm going to get out of jail this week?
No.
The possessor got angry. "I've killed many mutants in training, and you'll be no different." Billbo frowned. "Will you ever shut the fuck up and get on with it?" The possessor shot 3 fireballs out of his hand, but Billbo went for his block move, with his staff twirling really fast. But the fireball hit his staff and knocked Billbo on the ground, knocking the wind out of him. Then the possessor walked over to him and started kicking him on the ground. But Billbo got back to his feet and threw a punch at him. The possessor blocked the punch and threw Billbo into the side of a building. As Billbo laid on the ground, he thought to himself, "Well, if he spends a lot of time kicking my ass, maybe he'll get tired." Billbo stands up and sees the possessor walking towards him. Billbo walked towards him. "Now you're making me mad, so let's play." Billbo threw 2 roundhouse kicks to his head, staggering him. Then he formed his staff and hit him in the chest, but before Billbo summoned his blade, the possessor backhanded him, causing Billbo to fly in the air, doing a 360 and landing at the possessor's feet. Charlie finally walked... Excuse me?
So he has to keep forming his staff? What's up with that? Every time, what does his staff just disappear after a minute?
Guess so. Guess he didn't have enough quarters to keep it going. Charlie finally walked out from behind the possessor's walked out from behind the possessor, taps him on the shoulder, and when the possessor turned around, Charlie punched him in the face. But to his surprise, it had no effect. By this time, everyone on the center was outside watching the commotion. Charlie had backed away a couple of yards and then said, "Look," he had tears in his eyes. "I know you're here to kill me, even though I've never done anything to you. Well, if you're going to kill me, go ahead." The possessor laughed. "Aw, don't cry, boy. I must first test your strength in a fireball test. We blast each other at the same time to see who's stronger. Then I'll kill you."
So this is Dragon Ball Z now?
Okay, so we've discovered that this is a prequel to The Hobbit, the ending finale to Lord of the Rings, and Season 3 of Dragon Ball Z.
You really were doing drugs.
I think I was high, yes.
Now I need to do some drugs to get through the rest of the story.
Well, you're the one with the key to the locker to all that stuff. Charlie started to absorb energy, and so did the possessor, but before the possessor could get his shot off, Billbo hit him in the back of the leg, causing his fireball to shoot in the air, while Charlie's fireball hit him square in the chest. Billbo gets up, and the possessor, now weakened by the blast, starts stumbling backwards. Suddenly, Billbo formed his staff and summoned his blade and stuck it right into the possessor's heart. Suddenly, a big energy blast went out of his body, shot into the sky, and the possessor's body fell to the ground dead. Everyone gathered around the dead body, and as soon as Billbo got away from the crowd, Charlie ran to him and gave him a big hug. Billbo smiled. "You can get off me now," Charlie says. I'm sorry. I'm just so glad it's finally over, and the curse of my life is done." Billbo says, "Don't worry about it. I would never let you die, at least not by the hands of that fool." Charlie smiled. "You know, I didn't want to fight him," Billbo laughed. "Be happy there was someone here that did." Then Billbo walked off, and Charlie signed in relief, knowing that he was no longer the lost possessor, but the last.
And probably kicked out of job corps.
No, actually, besides the obvious grammatical errors and stuff, I almost have to say I wasn't that bad of a writer. I wonder if I have even more of these stories. You know who could probably tell me? That Charlie guy. I bet you if I found Charlie, I could get more of these stories. But unfortunately, I'm in jail, and I don't know any way out.
Hey, we just heard your story. We thought it was really good, the way you were reading it.
Yeah.
So, we've decided we're not going to press charges.
You're not going to press charges? So does that mean I'm free to go?
Click. Yep, go ahead.
I'm free! Now all I gotta do is find this Charlie and get more of these stories. Thank you guys so much. I'm out of here!
Hey, wait a minute. Is Charlie even real?